Welcome to another edition of Real Estate Rookie. I'm your host, Chris Gilmour, and we have Nathan Simon. And today you'll probably see in the studio, this is the two of us today.
Yeah, gone back to where it began.
Yep.
Probably for a couple of reasons. One, I think we had some feedback. The setup wasn't working as well, so we'll adjust that. But second reason, there's a fair bit happening in the market at the moment.
Yeah, it's strange how quick a market can just change literally overnight.
Yeah.
But I never feel that a market changes overnight. It's just a gradual, was it a bad weekend? Was it a bad week? But then when it's consistent, you're like, okay, now we can look back and go,
It shifted.
yeah, the market has definitely shifted.
Yeah.
So today's podcast is going to be around, because I've been through many markets, probably a few more than you, but just around education, how to still get properties sold, how to still bring properties to the market, but actually just have those critical conversations with your sellers that we know a lot of new agents have probably never experienced, because we've been in an incredible market for so long.
Yeah. It's an interesting time, right? And we know when we saw this probably a few years ago, there was like that small little blimp, right? And half the industry seemed like they left overnight. Got a bit tough for people with expired listings, withdrawals became the norm. And I get this feeling we're about to enter that, if not already have entered that by the time this gets released anyway, that kind of time period. And there's obviously things that are creating that discussion and that feeling around the market at the moment. And I can't sit here and say everyone around the country is going to go through the same things. It looks like we've got micro markets around the country, some performing no matter what, like the sub $1 million mark. And then you got some that are performing a little bit tougher throughout definitely the markets that you and I both work in. There's some that are like amazing and some that are going, this is weird.
And we spoke about that this morning in our sales meeting with the crew as well too, that there are some external factors. So at the time of airing of this, there's currently, if you want to say, World War III happening overseas with Iran and Israel and the US and stuff like that. You've got the fuel shortage as well too. And then we've panicked. People are like utes, people with utes and tanks and filling up. And anyway, crazy. It's just going to be that whole toilet paper saga again.
It's the same.
And then you've got politicians, CGT. We went through all of these factors this morning, and I just sit there and laugh, because at the end of the day, I don't control any of it. So I don't actually worry about any of it. Do you know what I mean? So, and I think that's probably the biggest thing. It's out of our control.
Yeah.
The market is the market. If you read all the comments on social media, it's the real estate agents that control pricing. So it's all our fault that, the market just skyrocketed. No, it's not. It's the buyers.
Yeah.
But, and I think we're going to see a massive shift I've already seen it. And I'm already having those conversations with our sellers, because I think we're kind of lucky here that we are across, anything sub 1 million up to that $3-4 million sort of price point. And we're running 80 to 100 open homes every weekend. So we're across every market from the north side to the Goldies. So I think it's easy for us that we saw it probably shift. We probably called it last week, but we definitely have called it that we're in a different market.
100%. And look, I've probably come from a different scenario. I started the year and I had my best first 2 months, biggest listing month ever. And I remember saying to a few sellers, it was probably the end of Jan, start of Feb. And I was like, look, I think things are about to change. So I'd love to say that I've gotten extremely good at my job, and I'm going to take it anyway. And I'm listing more properties. But the truth of the matter is we're getting more people call us because they want and need to sell, which will likely lead to an oversupply. And it's happened rapidly, especially in the market that I particularly focus on in that Pimpama sort of realm, where investors are heavy and they've been the most scared off. And I think for those that are watching that have never been through this kind of cycle, it's probably going to be quite overwhelming. They've probably gone from the market where, over the weekend, you're probably going to sell it first open home. You're probably going to get 15, 20 groups through. You're probably going to get 5, 10 offers. The price is going to be amazing, and you can spruik it all over socials. And all of a sudden, we're 3 open homes, 4 open homes, 5 open homes, offers 10% below where the sellers want to be.
Yeah.
And it gets tight, right?
Yeah, we had one on the weekend. It was 400,000 under asking. Yeah, you know, so who's right, who's wrong? You know, we'll see how that market carries out as well too. But, you know, there's just some different little tactics, you know, and some sellers and buyers probably should be watching this as well too, because a lot of people are going to go, well, it's a bad time to sell.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to turn around and simply go, no, it's still a great time to sell, because if this market trend continues, your pricing right now is going to be much higher than what it will be in 6 months. But also then people are going to be like, well, I'm not going to buy today, I'm just going to wait. Well, we saw that happen in COVID times where people then couldn't actually re-enter into the market. My only advice for an agent, a seller, and a buyer is the market is what the market is on the day.
Yeah.
Irrespective of what happens in the next 6 months, because if you're transacting today and you're not selling in 6 months' time and the market has dropped, what have you lost? You've lost nothing because you're not selling the property.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I heard this on Instagram actually, and American, because they're going through a very similar thing over there from what it seems like from all the American real estate agents I follow. And he said, you know, yeah, it'd be easier to sit here and go, the market's dropping, maybe I should wait to buy. But in reality, you should just buy and wait, right? Because you don't realize capital gains or losses until you sell. But if you wait, and just like we just said, literally at the start of this video, you can't pick the top until it's gone. Vice versa. You cannot pick the bottom until it's already risen.
Correct.
So you may as well just get into the property you can afford now. And with RBA rates and those agents that are watching that are having this conversation with buyers, the rates are going up. Like, I think that's very obvious that they're going to put the rates up. Inflation's going to be caused.
All right, let's make a call right now, because then we can come back to this and we'll see who's right, who's wrong. How many more rate rises do you think we will have this year?
I think there'll be 0.75 total. It'll be either split over 3 or it'll be split over 2. I get a feeling that if inflation figures come out as high as what they're likely to come out, maybe not this first decision coming, the next one, that they'll go bang with a 0.5 and just try and cut it off then. But I think 0.75 definitely in total.
Okay, so 2 or 3?
What do you reckon? Oh, fuck it. 3. Let's go 3. I'm going to go soft.
See, I predict another 2.
You reckon 2? Yeah.
I predict there will be another 2.
Do you think only 0.5?
3 for the year. So we've had 1.
Yeah.
I think there'll be another 2.
So you only reckon 0.5 max?
Another 0.5.
Okay.
Yep, total.
I think it all depends
They're going to just slowly, they're not going to whack us with half. Like, I think not with now what's going on overseas. And I think that's a big factor. They're going to let that dust settle. There's a lot of talking around political as well too. So, and I think we're coming up to an election. Is there an election this year? Or
No
I think
I don't. It can't be this year.
I'm pretty sure there will be another election or something coming up towards in October. I thought we better check them.
We should.
So I think we'll have another 2 this year.
Okay,
that's my prediction.
We'll come back to this. I think 3. You think 2. I think while we're on the matter of debates, and this probably cuts back out of it, but we had obviously in our meeting this morning, capital gains tax discount is obviously a big discussion happening if we talk in politics. There's lots of ideas being thrown around that seems like the most, I wouldn't say popular idea, but what they're discussing most would be just halving the capital gains tax discount from 50% down to 25%. It doesn't sound like they have any other ideas that are being even considered right now, which is a pain in the ass. You don't seem to think they'll even do anything.
No, I don't think they'll even touch CGT.
Yeah. Why?
Political suicide.
But I think they're going to... The chances of them winning in the future is probably pretty slim now anyway, right?
They don't think like that.
No, they don't. But also if there was ever a time, and they've tried capital gains, they've tried negative gearing, all this sort of stuff in the past, have never managed to get it through.
See, I don't believe in negative gearing. I think that's just the biggest scam of all time as well too.
Yes, but I think that's a financial decision people are making, right? They're going to get screwed by that eventually anyway. But also, they've never been able to get any reforms in that regardless. Whereas I think now they've got enough economic pressure, enough noise in the market around inflation, around this all the crap, that if they're ever going to make a change like this, such a big change, without requiring the need for a big vote and all this sort of stuff, it's probably the best time to do it, right? I feel like they're going to do it.
Okay.
I feel like if they do it...
We are so polar opposites on everything, hey? This is so good. This is why it works.
Yeah, but I think that if they do it, they should do it now, but they should grandfather it. I know that defeats the purpose of what they want, because they obviously want to make some money out of it. But the right thing to do would be those that are sitting on $500,000 in equity now, that they've built over time supplying rentals, are going to be punished, basically, if they decided to sell, which means it's going to remove the benefit, because why the frick would we sell? I've got an investment with quite a lot of equity. And I'm sitting here and I'm going, well, if they do this and they don't grandfather it, that property will forever be a rental, which is great.
Oh, yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't solve the issue or anything.
No,
So
they're trying to fix housing, but
I will go completely left field.
okay.
Just raise GST
Yeah.
across the board so it's everyone.
Yeah.
We're not just picking on the minority of the investors or, oh, they're rich, because no, we've just made really good and smart decisions or eaten spaghetti tins, to get to where we are. Do you know what I mean? So why should those people be penalised? Just raise GST to 15% across the board and everyone pays.
Yeah. 100%.
There you go. I should run for PM. Because that would be my thing.
Look, I think there's
Just
lots of...
raise GST.
Yeah, and there's lots of things being thrown around. I think Tommy Panos, it wasn't actually his idea, but he stole the idea and was talking about it, this capital gains discount thing. They're talking about potentially not grandfathering at all. But it's like, well, why don't we just tier it? So if you sell in the first 12 months, you get no discount, which is what it is now anyway, right?
Yep, sure.
You sell within, let's say, 3 years, then you're getting a 25% discount, a very small discount, or 10%, and then it goes up and up. So the longer you keep it, the more incentivized the investors are to hold it long term, and then they eventually get to the 50% capital gains discount by holding it a long period of time. That would fix things because investors are incentivized to buy again, and they're going to hold it for a longer period of time. So they're going to supply more rentals and fix the supply. Whether or not the government has any brains to consider these things.
Do you know how to fix the supply?
Build more houses.
Build more homes. It is that simple in my eyes.
Just release the red tape on developments.
Yes, too much red tape and them just holding. But that is how property prices, they control property prices by the amount of land that they release. Like,
100%.
can't be naive, man. Like, some people just think it's, anyway.
Yeah.
We're getting way off track.
Way off track. The whole point is to
never talk sex, politics, or religion.
Yeah.
All right. So let's
That's an interesting topic, actually, because I think what we're going to find is younger agents that are sitting on the news at the moment and kind of freaking out their properties aren't selling. What's the first thing they're going to tell a seller? Politics is causing the issues. The war is causing the issues. Religion is causing the issues. And they're going to start a debate with their sellers rather than just providing any sort of facts and figures. And I think when you're new and you have one open home and they're only relying on their own internal discussion to go, hey, seller, whereas there's a gap here, is going to be tough, right? And I think this is going to be, for those that are watching, if you're in a very small agency that has one agent, you're going to really struggle in these sort of markets and conditions unless you've got prior knowledge and experience, or you're just really good at bullshitting your way through, is probably what those guys are going to have to do. I think we're quite lucky. Obviously this morning, I had 15 open homes on Saturday, so my message to my sellers is very much 15 open homes. This is exactly what I felt happened, and this is what I feel is about to happen. Whereas we've got some new people in the office that might have had no open homes or one open home, but has the ability to sit in that room, and there were probably, 60 to 80 open homes on Saturday across the agents, and we got feedback from every single one, and the feedback was consistent. So they can now go, leave this meeting, have their vendor reports already sent, hopefully yesterday if they're doing the right thing, and start calling their sellers today and say, hey, just a heads up, I've been obviously a bit dubious on the market, but I've just sat down with 15 of our agents, more than 80 open homes, whatever the numbers exactly were. Here's what we found. At every price point, even sub 1 million, we saw a reduction in the number of buyers coming.
People,
we saw a reduction in the amount of offers being submitted, and not just that, the prices of those offers had reduced. And all of a sudden, they've got real credibility.
And what was I doing through the meeting?
Well, you're laughing, but...
I was laughing because I absolutely love this market.
Yeah.
This is the clean out that real estate should have had, because it's been so good since COVID, and everyone is now a real estate agent, and it's fashion.
Yeah.
So this sorts out a good agent and a shit agent.
Yeah.
So I can't wait. I can't wait. Because it just doesn't matter, because and what I said in this morning's meeting was the market is the market. It is no different today to what it was 20 years ago for me.
Yeah.
Right. Because I simply said, let's take all of their stock, right? And then we went around the room and went, okay, let's just say you knock 200K off every home. Would they be sold by this afternoon? They all went, yeah. I said, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Same process. If you position it right, price it right for the current market on that day, a property will sell. There will always be a buyer.
Yeah.
What they've got to do, and where the skill is with the agent, is one, either not overpromise, right? So there's a lot of that still happening, right? Because the problem is, and and this is the problem, because if we're in a changeover system like market right now, sellers are still seeing the ones that we sold 4 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, that are now settling at, like we did one out in Newby for 1.61 million.
Yeah.
Right. I
know the one.
Right. Because they're buying your property. Right. No pool, nice home, 18 years old with a shed. Right. I would be lucky to probably get 1.3 for that now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, but they're going to see that in the sold section and go, it just sold, and I put the date on when it settled, so it looks current, but it was actually 4-6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Sellers are going to see that and go, well, they still got that. Well, hang on a minute. No, they transacted 12 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. The market has shifted in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of overpricing property, which I feel, and I said that, I made examples this morning that I think a lot of new young agents are going to be going in and overpricing.
Yeah. I don't think just that. I think, so the interesting part, you talk about the changeover period, right? So like we've got stock, for example, that we signed the listing agreement on 5-6 weeks ago, that they've been in preparation phase. And in that time, before we've even managed to get to the market, we've had this amazing market. We've signed the listing up. Here's where the value is. By the time we've launched, it's dipped, but the sellers aren't willing to recognize that at that time. So they're still going to price it the same way. They're still going to have a crack at it and then dip again.
But I think that's where the agent should, because I had that same example, which we spoke about in the meeting, was I have a separation case at the moment. She wants to stay in the property a little bit longer, right? Plus, we also wanted to do up the home, because I feel even now more so, the homes have to be immaculate
Mickey
to
Mouse.
stand out, right? But that was always our thing anyway. They always have to look good. But, we're doing the photo shoot yesterday, and I said, hey, just to let you know, first open will be this weekend. Just expect our numbers are a lot lower. We're now receiving offers 100, 150,000 under asking. And she went, oh, great. And I said, yeah, the great thing is you're about to buy as well too. And she goes, yeah. You know what I mean? So we just
100%.
flipped it. But I've already set up that convo for Saturday.
Ready to go.
Before we even started. But, we took 3 weeks to bring it to market and stuff like that. So it's exactly the same case. So I think agents need to be very mindful.
Yeah.
Study the market a little bit, a little bit more, a little bit harder, and just have a very critical conversation at the beginning. And that's where agents are going to probably go, oh, I might not get the listing. Great. Because in this market, sometimes it's the second agent that comes in and gets paid.
Yep.
Right. So I like these markets. Do you know what I mean? So because I can have that critical conversation. John McGrath, I always go back to what the goat of real estate always said 15 years ago to me. He said, 5 seconds of courage. Chris, you've got to have 5 seconds of courage. What does that mean? What is 5 seconds of courage? It takes about 5 seconds to deliver that message that, hey, the market has shifted, or our price is now here. And I always, it's never left me.
Yeah.
So when you have to have a critical conversation, and you might have put your foot in it because you've overpromised right at the beginning, and now you've got to backtrack and go, hey, no one knew someone was going to go get bombed and this war starts, blah, blah, blah. Like, we didn't know that. Do you know what I mean? So that's all more reason not to bullshit them at the beginning anyway, because markets can flip on its head overnight. We have completely seen that. I think we're going to cop a lot from owners right now. But Chris, we still have the Olympics.
Yeah.
Great.
100%.
We saw the same. And for me, it was easy. I went through the Commonwealth Game era. Market didn't change.
Yeah.
It did not change. We had all this hype that everything was going to change. The only thing that changed was, instead of me charging $2,500 a week rental, I got $10,000 a week for the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That was all that changed. But prices didn't change. So yes, there is going to be infrastructure. There's going to be people moving here and stuff like that. And I think that's where, if we look at the graphs, which we looked at this morning, Sydney and Melbourne have had 0% growth. We've had 1.5%. I think we will claw back, and I think Sydney and Melbourne will go negative.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We might just plateau, and that's what we say then is a good market.
Yeah.
We survive that market. So it's interesting times. So agents, if you are watching this, do not overpromise.
Yeah,
right?
I think
because you're going to backtrack.
Yeah, honesty is going to win, I think, in this coming market. Unfortunately, the heights of COVID have rewarded lies because often the market caught up to the lie, right? So,
well, every week it was another 20 grand, another 20 grand. Oh, we're bang on.
Exactly. Whereas I think now it's going to be the total opposite. And if you're going into a listing today, for example, and you're like, oh, the market sold for 1.3 4 weeks ago, you're probably more like a 1.250 to maybe 1.2 even, depending on the market you're in. And being able to have that conversation. I've been wanting to put this story up for ages, but I haven't done it on my socials yet. But all I need to say is it's easy to tell them the market is good. It's just as easy to tell them the truth, right? But which one wins you more business? Unfortunately, it's not telling them the truth at some stage. What I will say as an agent is the one that gets you paid the most is telling them the truth, because you're going to end up being second agent in. And even in good markets, we saw over and over examples within this company where we went in, told the truth, another agent went in up here. I've got a couple in Tamborine that are like that now, and I'm the number one agent in there, and yet they're still taking advice of people that are offering $300,000 above in their appraisals. They've never sold a house there. It's like, I know the market. I'll come back when it hasn't sold. And I've done that over and over again, and we get them done.
And
right?
what does that then do? As an agent, it gives you more profile, more sold results, right? It gives you your reputation that, Nathan was absolutely spot on, and you're going to win more business. It's how I've done it for 19 years, man. Like it's the amount that I've walked out of or lost. And then I laugh. And to me, it's a game. It's a sport. But like you go back on, 2 months later and you go, yeah, I was right.
Yeah.
And I always, some you get wrong, right? We're not all perfect, right? But, 99% of them, it's like, we told them that, but they went this way, or, it was a mate of a mate of a mate, or the neighbor has gone, like, can't believe you're selling, well, mate, the neighbor's a brain surgeon. He's good working on brains. He's not a real estate agent. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting time.
I think.
So I've got a question for you, because you're very different to me. You know my process. I have the one process and I don't deviate away from that process. You do multiple processes in the way that you list a property when you take it to market. And what I mean by that is some don't have a price, some do have a price, and the third one is some are going to auction.
Yep.
Do you think, with the market we're about to head into, that we're currently in now, is your process going to change? Are you going to take more to auction, less to auction? Are you going to go more with pricing, no pricing? Where are your thoughts?
My process won't change. So I've always had the belief that each property is different and each property deserves its own process. So I'm not a huge auction agent. I'm not here to bag out auctions by any means. It's hard to pick at the moment. So
you are becoming an auctioneer.
I am becoming an auctioneer.
So people are clear.
Yeah, so I believe in auctions, and I believe they work in scenarios. I've got a couple that I would planned an auction that in a regular market, when I signed the paperwork, for example, they would have performed extremely well. We've had to cancel them, right? Because we were getting no one through the door. People were a little bit worried about going unconditional, and most of the buyers I was dealing with had to sell. And in previous markets, we could get those conditional buyers into an unconditional state to compete. We just weren't getting anything. As soon as we put a price on them and we used the feedback, we were getting interest. Now, unfortunately, those properties still haven't sold because the sellers are still up here. The market has changed again during that process. But I'm a big believer, and I tell all my sellers this, that I will run through the process A through Z every single time, and we will pull every lever we have. And as agents, we have more than one lever, and I believe this. And that lever that most people believe we have is price, and they'll pull it. 1 week in, hasn't sold, drop your price. 2 weeks, drop your price. Whereas I think that education process is different.
They're trained like that.
They are.
And you know that because you've been through that franchise system.
Yeah.
That is pretty much just list it in and chop the legs off every week until you get to a point and it will sell.
It is. And look, when you do volume, I guess is what obviously that model is based around. The public misses the 30, 40% that they put online, and then they disappear and they go with another agent all of a sudden, or they never sell. Whereas I look at it and I go, well, if I can just provide enough service, not only one, am I going to educate the sellers? Like my process involves daily communication with our sellers from myself and my team, updating them not only on what inquiries we're getting, but on what work we're doing. Because the public has the perception that real estate agents are glorified.
Dive into that.
Cool.
For the agent, what are you sending them?
Yeah, so
a text, is it a phone call? Is it an email? Is it an REA back-end form, with data? What is it?
So every process is different, but for me, so the process is always on a Monday, they get a vendor report from me directly. So none of my team do vendor reports from me. I write the notes, I download them, I personally email them for multiple reasons, but the main reason is they've hired me as the point of contact. So I believe my knowledge and my understanding of that process should be front front of mind. That's not the process for all agents. I think that there's bigger teams that have co-agents that can do that as well.
Yep.
I just love doing it, so I'd rather be that point of call. Then on a Tuesday, I'm calling them, every single seller, to say, hey, you got my report. Here's what was in it. Do you have any questions? Here's the recommended changes, price on, price off, price drop, auction, whatever it is. And then on a Wednesday and Thursdays, we're generally doing open homes. So they're going to have, on a Wednesday, for example, if we didn't do an open home. So you're doing
midweek opens?
We're doing, between 3 and 4 open homes a week per property now.
Really?
Yeah, so we're doing 8:30 a.m. open homes, 3:30 p.m. open homes, 5:30.
8:30 a.m.?
Yep, we're trying something new. So,
wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, we're only a couple of weeks into trying this. As soon as I saw, we are. You'll be surprised. So we're getting 1 to 2 at 8:30. We're getting 3 to 4 and a 3:30. We're getting less people at the evenings, which I find kind of bizarre, but that seems to be a shift. And I'm lucky enough to have an agent that...
Okay, all right, I want to unpack that,
cool.
Right? So in my household, that would not work.
Yep.
Right? So 8:30 kids, it would work for me, right? Because mum's taking kids to school or I've dropped them off. So is it couples or is it a single person that potentially is coming through just to have a look and pretty much go, yeah, not for us, so we don't need to look at that one on the weekend and stuff?
It's usually single people.
Okay, all right.
And investors? And investors.
Okay, so a 3:30 is school pickup and getting home and then getting them ready for sport. I'm talking from example, right? So that'd have to be singles, surely. It's got to be...
It's more than you think.
Yeah. Wow.
So the way that we've kind of gone is, well, we kept trying to do, 5:30 p.m. open homes. People were complaining about the traffic, and I'm like, well, as a parent, if I'm looking to buy a house, I go drop the kids off at school in the morning. I drop my daughter off at 7:30 to 8 a.m. Mm-hmm. On the way to work, if you really love the property, you've got time to potentially stop in, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people work from home. So that gap between school drop-off and going home to start work again, if we're being realistic, most people fluff around, right? So 8:30 to 9, let's see if we can get some buyers through.
That's another hot topic.
That's a whole topic, yeah. It's school pickup, 3 p.m.-ish, 2:30 to 3 p.m. they're finished. On the way home with the kids, they'll stop into an open home, they'll go home. What we've found is it's much harder for them to pick the kids up, go home, potentially have dinner. The kids then lose their shit. They start acting up to get back out. And then they get stuck in traffic because there's an accident.
Because, the real estate rule book states, you've got to start open homes at 10 o'clock on a Sunday. We've got to, if a seller or a buyer is watching this, there is a real estate rule book, apparently. Right? That all open homes have to start at 10 a.m. That's why we start ours at 9 a.m. Do you know what I mean? So I totally understand that.
Well, I said to the team 3 weeks ago, I think the market's changing.
So have you only just started at 8:30? Mate, I'm going to walk straight back into my team and go, all right, 8:30 starts, opens. You got to have vendors, obviously, that will allow that, but majority are probably working.
Yep, and we got vacant properties
kids,
too.
Yep, and taking kids to school. So 3 to 4 times. Are you opening on a Sunday?
Some Sundays. So luckily enough, I've now got a team member that... he's, I forget the third name, something Sabbath. I forget the exact name of it. Apologies. Thank you. So Saturdays he doesn't work. He's not a real estate agent in my team as my operations manager, but he's licensed and he knows his job. So he can do Sundays for us. I don't push the Sundays unless the sellers really want them because we don't get the numbers. Like the Sundays aren't that great regardless, but we'll do it.
It's really interesting, right? Because, I own property on the coast, but they're units on the beach, right? Whenever we're down there, the unit complexes are open, through Surface and Broad Beach and stuff like that, are open on Sundays.
Yep.
It's kind of weird. But Northern Gold Coast, which is homes, you're saying not many people are coming through.
No. So
That's interesting.
We're getting less people through Sundays. But look, at the end of the day, what I want and the message I gave to my team was if the market changes and we're going to do the same thing we always do, which is 1 to 2 open homes a week and some privates, the sellers are going to sit there and think they're not putting enough effort in. And now is the time that we need every buyer we can get to try and get a property sold. So if we have the capacity, which I'm lucky enough that I do, and I'll say that likely people watching this that are one agent with one listing, you could do an open home every single day. And I've done that before for listings as well. And just focus on one is going to give you good exposure with buyers, which those buyers, if they don't purchase that home, want to purchase a home, 2, your seller's going to see that you genuinely give a shit and you're not just there for the listing on the board and potentially get a sale eventually. And 3, the exposure you're going to have at all times through the hours and the days of traffic driving past and the neighbours going, what the hell? This agent is there 8:30 in the morning. He's there tomorrow at 5:30 and he's been there Saturday. There is no way that I'm going to have a seller withdraw for reasons that involve my efforts. And that's always the goal of mine. We're going to withdraw properties personally because those sellers aren't motivated and they're not going to sell, right? Like I've got amazing sellers that I love and I work with. I've got great relationships with them. But at the time that we listed it, it was to test the market at a price, and we've given them amazing offers and they're not taking it because it's just not at this ridiculous price that we were getting. Now's the time where we have to have those conversations, and agents watching this is for you, especially if you're new, blood-sucking, time-sucking clients. They're going to take you away from prospecting activities and from managing people that are ready to make a move is going to affect their business long term.
It's going to cost you.
Yeah, and you've seen it.
Always cost you. It always costs you. So I just a little tip and something that we used to do for agents that were just starting, right? And then I'll go into an example of probably one of my all-time favorite agents from overseas. But there is nothing stopping an agent, right, opening every single day, right? But also too, there's nothing stopping, and it's what I used to do back in the early day. I would open the same home 3 times on a Saturday, right? So it'd be a 10 to 10:30, a 12 to 12:30, and then a 2 to 2:30, right? If you've got a vendor that allows you to do that or the home is vacant, right? Depending on how many homes you have, right? But if you've only got 2 or 3 listings, that's 9 open homes you could be doing if you open them 3 times, those 3 homes, right? And most agents are probably going to be working in a geographical area, so they can get to them kind of quick. So, but something that Bob Wolf, right? So he works for Harcourts, right? Don't know if he's still, I would say he's still doing it, right? Probably my favorite all-time real estate agent, right? He'd be up in age now, man. He'd have to be in his 70s, I reckon, now. But anyone in Harcourts or anyone from over there would know who Bob Wolf is, right? Funniest dude in the world. But you know what he used to do? He used to have, so he never had an office. He used the client's home as an office.
So he'd just sit there and do an open?
Yeah, he would sit there for the whole day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So especially if you had a vacant property, he would be there from 8 till 6.
Yeah.
And that was his office, doing his prospecting, writing his thank you cards, doing his emails, doing whatever he was doing prospecting wise.
And if a buyer walked in, then he was there.
He just used everyone else's homes as an office.
How bizarre. I mean, it makes sense. Look, America is very different to us, right? They open for a full day or at least multiple hours generally, and that's kind of how they work, right? Very different here. We obviously, I think the model in Australia works really well. We have the capacity to do multiple deals at a higher level because the real estate industry in Australia has been trained for 30-minute open homes. Right?
So I do 45 minutes.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried a 15-minute?
We used to when I was doing 15 open homes myself on a Saturday. And then I just went, look, our service is shit. This is just not providing any value to our seller whatsoever. So I went from a high volume to lower volume.
High quality.
But better quality, and then just spread it across the team. And I tell my sellers that, you know, I float normally on a Saturday, right? So I don't commit generally to one home. There might be the odd vendor or home that I'll always be at, but generally I try to float. So I can pick and go, it's going to be busy this week. Probably not going to be that busy. They don't need me there. Because I honestly don't feel the agent sells a property. And I've always said that, like it's our job is not to sell the property. Our job is to position it and market it right, and then negotiate. That is a real estate agent's job, because anyone can open a home.
100%.
You know, and you know, if you watch all these so-called videos, you know, where we're going to get taken over by AI, that like, you know, soon we're going to be obsolete. It's like, you know, anyone can open a door. Yeah, anyone can open a door. I completely agree with that statement. Right? Yeah. Completely agree. Mate, they do that in the UK. The agent doesn't even go. It's the owner that opens them. So like, it's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
People just don't realize. Our job though is piecing and putting a right buyer in front of the right property at the right time, and then producing price. That is a trained skill.
Yeah.
So that, you know, the for sale by owners, you know, they're like, oh, AI can write the contract and do all this shit. Good luck, man. Like, you know, so that is where I feel my skill is, but I do run now 45-minute opens.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we do both 30 and 45. I've trialed the 15 minutes and during the busy time, and it worked for some times, but you ended up staying for the 30 minutes anyway. You may as well just book for 30 at a time.
What we used to do though, we would advertise a 20-minute.
Yeah.
Right. And we would be there early and then have that 10 after. It was always 30 minutes. Right. But the reason why we would do 20 was they only saw 20. And what we were trying to do was drive as, you know, because when you run a 45, this is the risk if you run an hour as well too. The longer you run, someone turns up 5 minutes in. They've looked at it. They leave. Someone then rocks up at 20 minutes, walk in, leave. Someone walks in at 45 minutes. And it's them.
Yeah.
But they didn't realize that you might have had 6 other groups right at the beginning.
Yeah,
So
the FOMO disappears.
Yeah, it does. So there is that little bit of risk, but 45 we find is quite solid. I think an hour is too long.
Cool.
But sometimes you would advertise only 20 to drive them all there at the same time, but you were still there for that 30, but advertised only for 20. So that's a good little trick that they can do as well.
Yeah. Well, I think in a world where there is no urgency, we've got to find a way of creating it. So I think at the moment, getting creative as agents and not relying on the norm is going to be the way forward. I want to jump back because I don't think we finished the process side of how I communicate with sellers. So we do the open homes multiple times a week. So every open home, I don't do midweek open homes anymore.
Sure.
There's 2 reasons. I'm not very good at open homes, and my team know this. I'm actually very awkward in those scenarios. I'm better with tough conversations than with soft conversations. So I let my team handle almost all of them now. I've worked that part out, but I still do opens on the weekends and occasional if I need to step in. If my team are there, they send a message to the seller straight away. This is how many groups we've had.
Sure.
We do the follow-ups.
That's at the end of the open.
At the end of the open homes. Follow-ups the next morning or Saturday in the afternoon. They then get a voice message or a phone call from me explaining the feedback or how things went. So straight away. And then every Friday, I send them a voice note or a message that says, hey, here's what we're expecting tomorrow. And I set a KPI.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been Tom Panos, one of the guys that trained this a while ago. And I've done this since day one, was a KPI, and went, I think we need this many people, or we'd be on par based on my knowledge of the area. If we had 4 to 5 groups of buyers through the open home tomorrow, that would say our campaign is on track. Because tomorrow, the open home comes and 2 people rock up and we've got an advertised price. All right, we might have located a gap here. Based on where we see on par, we might be worth a change in strategy, a change in price guide, a change in photo order, a change in social media advertising.
And that's that lever you were talking about.
Correct.
You know you've got multiple levers.
Yep.
Where most agents have just got one pokey machine lever.
I think pulling just the price lever every single week and every single open home is just hitting them over the head, right? And there are some sellers that would prefer to use price. I've got one at the moment, and I said on the phone to him yesterday, we've got an offer that's a lot lower than where I think the property sits, but market's doing what the market says. And I said, look, we've still got time. Like, we got 2 weeks left of their subject to sale. I said, I've still got levers that I can pull, but if you really want to move quickly, the only way to move faster is unfortunately with price and getting aggressive. I said, or give me the chance and some time, let me pull a few extra levers. And then if it comes down to it, and I guess for those listening, the whole point is you want to be able to show your sellers you've done everything before you pull the price lever, because you've built trust. And the sellers will then understand that you've done everything. The last thing you'd want is a week in, 2 weeks in to say, oh, the market doesn't agree. And then the seller turns around and goes, oh man, that really sucks. How's the follow-up going? Well, I haven't been doing those. Have you done anything on social media yet? No. Oh, what's the online views like? Actually not very good. Have you changed the photo order? I've had friends comment that they don't like the front photo. No, I haven't changed that. Like, how embarrassing. And then your credibility drops, because then you go, oh, all those suggestions that you've made, when you've hired me as the professional, you got the seller making suggestions.
I'll go do them now.
I'll go do what you want. And I'm very brutal. Like, my sellers, when they hire me, I make it very clear, you're hiring me as a professional advisor, right? You've chosen me because you believe in my process and the way that I work. As soon as they start questioning, like, I've had people before I've even started and I send in the advert for approval, they're like, I don't like the way that this is worded. I don't like the photo order. I don't like this. And I said, look, I'm happy to make those changes if that's what you want. But I just need you to remember that you've hired me because I get the best prices in the area and you love the way that I market. Sometimes I just need you to shut your eyes and realize that I have your best interest at heart, and this has been done for a reason. right?
Shut up and leave it with me.
Well, what's the point? It's like going to a surgeon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then being like,
Sell it
I actually
yourself.
I don't want you to cut there. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, shut up. You're not a surgeon. Like, you've hired me as your professional advisor. Let me advise you, right? I'm not always going to be able to conform to everything the sellers want, and vice versa. We've got to be flexible. But I think those that roll over from the first confrontation with the seller in this climate especially are going to get eaten alive, and they're going to disappear in real estate. It's time for us to stand our grounds, understand, well, it's good for us, and understand that there's a reason they've chosen you. Yeah. And if as soon as you back down on your beliefs, as soon as you do something, I had a seller, no word of a lie, on the weekend we had one offer, 70 G's off what they wanted. To be fair, I've told him from the start, like, that's where that offer was, is where I believe it sits. And he said, and I said, look, no, we're going to go back to him and try and get more out of him. I think he's out. And he said, can we tell him that there's another buyer and that he's got a deadline? There's an auction in the background. I said, no. I said, you've just asked me to go against my moral beliefs and to lie to a buyer. And I'm telling you now, one, you've hired the wrong real estate agent. And two, that's not going to provide a good result, because as soon as he realizes it's a lie, it's gone to shit anyway. I've had one that asked me to bring a dummy bidder to an auction. They said, I can't name brands. Anyway, one of their friends sold with another brand that does a lot of auctions on the Gold Coast.
These chairs aren't yellow.
They sold with another brand on the Gold Coast that does a lot of auctions, and their agent brought a dummy bidder and drove the price up. And she said to my seller, why don't you just do that? Why don't you get your agent to do that? And they said, and look, my sellers didn't know any different. They didn't know what it meant. And they said, can we just get a bidder in the crowd, like one of my friends or something? I said, what? I said, no, that's so illegal. I said, that's minimum $60,000 fine.
It happens.
Unfortunately. Well,
it happens. It
happens all the time. You know what's annoying? And this is very off topic, right? Auctions have moved to online, right? In rooms, they call it, but the people in the room are the bloody real estate agents. On the phone to buyers. The buyer never makes visual contact with another buyer. And we've had staff join our business from that particular business model and have gone, I left because I saw the principal making bids with a fake buyer to drive the price up. Fucking disgusting. But the Office of Fair Trading can't see it.
No.
Right? It's so, unfortunately, in our industry, and we've had many discussions with the Office of Fair Trading before, Code of Conduct has been removed from real estate in Queensland. So there's nothing they can do about it anyway. Like, how cooked is that? Completely off topic. But anyway, that happens, right?
It does.
And it'd be easy for a buyer.
Don't be one of those agents.
No, if you're watching this, surely you're better than that.
Because we saw the pinnacle get done anyway. So
it's career crushing.
It will.
Well, obviously, unfortunately, again, the real estate industry is weak. That particular person, the number one agent in the country, all this kind of crap, is now a coach in our industry, and people are paying for someone to teach them how to do the wrong thing in this industry. Isn't that? I'm going to get pissed off at that topic if we keep
Mate,
going.
I can keep going on that.
I know. It annoys the shit out of me. The reason why I decided to join your brand
isn't that a bit
owner,
like Lance Armstrong?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Won all those Tour de France's and then was worked out, hey, he was actually cheating, so should give all those awards back. But, made all his money.
He's already been paid.
So, but
He's already been
look,
paid.
we I hope people listening to this or watching this they're not those sort of agents. Don't aspire to be those agents. So,
look, I think in this industry, it's pick and choose who you listen to and what you listen to. There's some agents that do some things well. That particular agent might have been really good at prospecting, right? But he was really bad, not really bad, but he was really good at doing dodgy things after that matter. And if you want to learn anything from that particular agent, only take how he prospected, not how he did anything else. It'd be like watching Lance Armstrong and only looking at how he did the drugs, right? It doesn't make any sense. Look at the other stuff as well, because there's other things.
Yeah, but I can't.
No,
I can't. It's
I know.
I think yeah, you're a cheat. You're a cheat.
Yeah, 100%.
And but anyway, there's plenty of other trainers or coaches out there that I would aspire to recommend to go follow and watch.
Yeah.
And most of those are in America.
Yeah.
You know who I watch. It's very, very few I actually watch here in Australia.
Yeah, unfortunately. Look, there's some amazing.
We're so far behind.
But
That's the problem. We're so far behind, I feel, in just the way that we do business and stuff like that. So,
can I ask you, Ryan? Obviously, you've been through. I mean, you're quite old, so you've been through a lot more than I have, from a perspective of the GFC and all those sort of things. that I never went
I'm not
through.
even reacting, man. So
the things that I never went through. If you were a seller or a buyer right now, sitting there a little bit nervous, you've got a real estate agent in charge that is basically just not giving them any sort of insight or know-how, I guess, on what to do moving forward. What should they do? Like what conversations should the buyer or seller be having right now with an agent to move their needle forward?
I think we're in this transition period right now that we're going to see some hurt. And then I think what you're going to see first is when one seller makes a decision that they just have to go, and that will set the new pricing, right? So until that happens, not a lot is probably going to happen. I don't think the discussion with buyers right now will be, you're going to burn those buyers, right? It's just like simply like the seller's expectation is here. You're only prepared to go to here. I'll see you next weekend. It's just a little joke that I say to all of my buyers. I'll see you next weekend, right? And when you keep seeing them, it's like, man, really like you, but I don't really want to see you next weekend, meaning hurry up and go and buy a property.
Buy a house.
So there is going to be that Mexican standoff, which we've seen before in a shifting market. It'll only hang around for a couple of weeks because some sellers just need to go. They you know, and that will be the new price. So I think it's more around the discussion with a seller, and I think that agent, I think both of them need to be very, for me, my time is limited. We're all limited on time. And I don't want to spend my time on a seller that is unmotivated. So like this week, I've told my team, Zoom vendor meetings with everyone this week.
Yeah.
Right. Because, and again, that's something for me on time. I'm not driving there. Right. Yeah. It's just Zoom. They're in there, they could be at work or whenever they pick the time, and I'll do a Zoom call. I can bring up graphs. I can bring up feedback. I can bring up numbers and whatever on Zoom. And I'm not driving 40 minutes in traffic now to get 10K down the road. Do you know what I mean? So just a little bit more mindful around. So my vendor meetings are now on Zoom. Now, it would be just more working around that motivation and having a very honest conversation. And you're going to lose some listings. They're going to move on. You'll then look back and go, the 6 offers that I produced were still above what you ended up selling for.
Yeah.
Sometimes that second agent's going to get paid. So it's just a very critical conversation to work out, do you need to sell or stay? There's always generally 3 options. Small, medium, and large. Spoke about it today. You want to take, okay, you're a vendor. You're on the market. I'm selling your home. Nathan, obviously the market has shifted. Have you thought about renting your home?
Can't do it.
Okay, so renting is now off the table. Okay, so now you have 2 options. Okay, your other 2 options, because your 3 options are you can stay, you can sell, or you can rent. Okay, so let's take one away. Yep. So now we have 2. Do you want to sell or do you want to stay?
I want to sell. That's why we're doing this.
Sell? Okay. Do we have to sell?
No.
Your answer is yes.
Yes. I don't know what role you want here.
Okay. So we don't want to rent the home.
Yeah.
Right, for various reasons. You have to move. So there's only the one option. What are you going to do? How do we move?
Yeah.
You have to meet the market. So you've got to look at the options and then just take those options away from an owner.
Yeah.
And then you then as an agent can work out, I want to continue working with these people. Like I think a lot of people feel, we get sacked. Man, I've sacked just as many as they've sacked me. Like it's just, I'm just not a magician. Like if you're not listening to my advice right now, that is cool. I've done now probably the education for the second agent to come in and they're going to get paid. That's the way the game is. Do you know what I mean? And that's only in a transition period. So an appraisal I'll go to today at 5:30 this evening.
It'd be different.
My conversation is, hey, the market has turned. The market is now shit. Our expectations are here. How does that now sit with you?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I've had 3 other agents and I bet you they've all said blah, 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 blah. I'm the only one that's going to have that real convo. And they're going to go, I appreciate that. Or no. Yeah. And I'll send them a little orchid and say, sorry for your loss when they list with the other agent, right?
Yeah.
And then be there for that second time.
100%.
Right? Second time's always good. So I think there's just some critical conversations they need to have, Nathan.
Yeah. I think while we're on the topic of this second agent thing, right? This isn't permission to go out 14 days into someone else's marketing campaign, knock on the door and say, "Do you hate your agent?" But this is going to open up opportunities for agents, especially those that have the skill level to get a property sold, to come in when there is an expiring Form 6, for example, take it over and move them on. What I think is going to happen, and this is why I'm being very pedantic on my level of customer service, my sellers, and unfortunately in my market, from the moment, the day we have a listing come on the market,
like
we have another brand sending letters and they're knocking on doors and they're doing these phone calls and texts. So that's already happening.
Can I stop you there?
Cool.
Mind you, it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. It pisses the sellers off.
It actually pisses them off more. You want to be stealth mode.
Yeah.
And that's my technique. I'm just stealth mode behind the background, putting things in front of them without them realizing that I'm probably that second choice.
100%.
Right?
Look, this is the power of social media, can I just say as well, because these people, if you're doing a good enough job and you're posting your results, you're posting content, when they're not selling, they're probably seeing you on Facebook with all these amazing sellers and popping champagne, and then they're sitting there kind of sad. So, but now's the time not to go start doing that sort of crap, because you will piss them off. But if you've got a seller you've been in contact with, you lost 2-3 months ago, pick up the phone. Hey, how you going? I'm surprised you haven't sold. Like, where are we at? Because I've had multiple come back to me at that point. I actually had one in Tamborine that said, crap, we thought we'd save money on marketing. They were way cheaper. We haven't got a single offer. And I sold it in 6 days for 50 grand above. Like,
I think that's where this market's also going to change, because I've started to notice just the level of presentation from homes has increased, I feel, over probably the last 12 months. And I think it's going to increase even more. Like, I'm starting to see staging 5 years ago was
unheard of.
It's now, I feel like every second home now is staged.
Yeah.
Like, it is that whole perception and attraction now to get them into your property, I feel is changing. And I think it's going to change with this market as well too.
Yeah.
That it's becoming more prominent that you have to do that. But like, low offers, the owner blames the market. No offers, the owner blames the agent.
Yeah. So
that's all you got to remember.
Just got to get the offers. You know, I think it's been too easy to defend price for a little while. Now, yes, our job is to defend value and try and push for the most amount of money. But if we don't get an offer, we have nothing to push on anyway. And that, to be fair, that's conversations I have with my sellers. And I'm like, look, we're a week in. We've got no price advertised. People are not agreeing with the level that you want and the guide that we're giving. So they're not willing to place an offer right now. We need an offer. Like, I need buyers in the house. I can do my job. I need an offer. I can do my job. And the only way we can do that is to adjust one of my levers at a time to make a move forward.
So talk about some of your levers. Price?
Yeah, so price is the biggest lever. Photo order. So I change photo order every 3 days. Same as the back end price.
Every 3 days?
Every 3 days.
And you change the back end price?
The back end price.
So when you change the back end price, are you doing it in 50,000 increments?
Yeah, it depends on the product, but generally between $25,000 and $50,000 increments. Now, when I do the listing agreement, I explain that process with my sellers. So for example, if they want a $1.5 million sale price, my back end abilities will be set from 1.3 all the way up to 1.7 so that I have full flexibility throughout the campaign to adjust. And that's simply because
I'm learning so much just by talking to you. We're business partners, so we don't even talk about what are you doing, what am I doing, because we just go on and do
our job. But for me, I always tell the sellers, like, at the end of the day, I know we want this sort of price. Everyone searches on realestate.com differently. I've had a product sell for $1,520,000. He called me with a $1.3 million budget, which is where I had the back end set with permission from the seller, and we negotiated him all the way to 1.52.
So this is only while you're advertising no price.
Only with no price.
Because
you can't do that with a price
REA removes price if you're doing.
You can't do that, 100%. And look, when you have a price on it, then for me, and my conversation with sellers when I put a price on is going, this is going to give us a clear indication, right? We've had feedback without the price that buyers see value at this level. We're putting a price on at this level. 2 things are going to happen. People are going to come to the home and agree with us, and they're going to buy it. People aren't going to come. If my phone doesn't ring, I don't get emails, and people don't come to the open home, we have a gap. The online present isn't matching the price that they see value in to make the effort to come. We just got to align those things, and that can be maybe we just run a social advert to a different location that week, spend $100, we'll reach 20,000 people if we're good at what we do on socials, right? If that doesn't work, then we go, cool, maybe it wasn't that. In that time, if I've changed the back end price or if I've changed the photo order, I've rewritten the headline of the copy, I've gone to AI and rewritten the whole copy, whatever it is that I've changed, which is a lot of the different things that I do.
So we got price, photos,
Copy.
back end price,
Yep.
copy.
Facebook, Instagram.
Okay, so
Meta advertising.
Yep, so more advertising.
Yeah.
Video. Do you change video?
I do more videos. I don't change the videos.
Okay.
Yeah. So like all of my listings get 3 videos. They get an iPhone tour on Facebook, which used to be live, but now the live Facebook doesn't work with any of the microphones.
Yep,
So I've got to
it's too
film
hard.
them.
Yep.
So that's like a 10-minute walkthrough video. They get a professional cinematic, and they'll get a social media funny style sort of reel, which is the one that gets paid money towards it. And all my sellers get to see all of them. I don't hide anything from any of my sellers along the way, but I will add photos. And like, I think I've had one property once, they've gone price on, price off, offers over, price guides. And I think everyone does offers over and that's it. But like, you can do price guides, top and bottom. I do offers around sometimes. So if you're struggling at offers over 1.35, because no one's going to go above, offers around 135 has a psychological soft ploy where buyers will see you've got some flexibility below. But when you're negotiating, it's pretty clear what you want. You know, you can do a set price.
So keyword there is around.
Around is top and bottom. So you've got a world around it, right? And if those agents that are watching and you want to find a way of adjusting sellers' price and expectations, price ranges work really well. Because you can drop price without visibly dropping price, right? So if you go no price, you get all this feedback, let's say at $1.6 million, right, is where buyers are like, I don't want to buy it for that, but if you get that, I think it's pretty good money. And the sellers are sitting a little bit higher than that. You can go, cool, well, why don't we do a price range, 155 to 165. The 155 gets him in the door. The 165 gives me room to negotiate. All of a sudden, a week in, 2 weeks in, you're not getting the results you want. You remove the 165, we call it a mental blocker. Then it's offers over 155. Theoretically, you've dropped the price, but you've just got them down to 155. Because then the next move is the same thing again. Offers around 155, 1455 to 155. Like, you've got these different ways that you can move price. And, you know, our job as a real estate is to defend value and get the most money. The worst thing we can do, and I believe this, is if you put a product on for $2 million, theoretically value is 1.8. You drop it to 195, no luck. You drop it to 19, no luck. You drop it to 185, no luck. 18, no luck. You've created this psychological ploy because realestate.com sends a notification every time we drop the price that this seller is going to keep moving. So they're going to come in. The longer we
wait, the cheaper
it gets. So you've either got to go one big move or you've got to go tactical and at some point taking the price away from the campaign for a week and then putting a new price on reduces those. And look, I'm very process driven, very tactical in the way that I move. And, you know, I can sometimes have longer days of market for certain properties that need that extra time. But at the end of the day, I've been hired to go do a job and do the best job that I can. And I'd hate to sit in front of them a week later and say, hey, drop it 10%, right? And do the wrong thing straight up. Because if you go drop 10% and you really need to drop 15, you eventually drop 20. And I've had this with sellers. I've had many examples actually where they've wanted to drop slow instead of taking my advice and they end up getting way less money because buyers know they're going to take less. Like it's this obvious train. So you got to avoid that. So I think conversations will get stricter now. I think price on is becoming more popular again. Price off is everyone right now. I think contact agent, expressions of interest. Still price on all the time?
No, off.
Off, okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's about to shift again. And that's what I'm finding. My price off campaigns are struggling, price on are doing better. So we're in the process of going, okay, well, we need to move this to price on straight away. And then vice versa. If we're overpriced, I'd rather take it off for a week, reevaluate, and then make a recommendation that suits the current market space. Because I've got stock that I signed 6 weeks ago, that we launched 2 weeks ago, that is not at the level that we were. And it changed like that. So
and it can.
It has. But I think the point we want to try and get across to those that are watching is the market will change forever, right? There's nothing that changes in regards to buyers have to buy and sellers have to sell. That will always be our industry. It's just getting to the price the market sees value in without losing business along the way. And if you do the right thing and you adjust and you get it sold, your market presence will still return in favor of new listings. And I think people are scared of that. I think people assume if they have to drop price, then the neighbours can go and go with someone else. It's just not the truth. So
I think we end it there.
I think that was good.
There's enough gold in there for
Surely.
a seller, a buyer, and for an agent, actually. So
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
This was designed for an agent, but we might be sending this to some of our sellers. So,
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. So, a very different real estate rookie podcast today, but we thought this was quite timely. And we've got a very special guest coming on for our next up and coming episode. So that will be exciting. So stay tuned. If you've got any questions, just DM myself or Nathan. Thanks for watching.
Cheers, guys.